All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And welcome to our Friday show. The Friday recorded audience is my favorite recorded audience. Great to have you all here. Wow. I'm overwhelmed by your recorded warmth. It is a pleasure to have everyone with us. Our Friday show is a fan favorite, oftentimes because of a segment that will run in about 30 minutes. We are a live show, my friends. So this is 2 hours live. And the segment to which I've referred is Friday Fabulous Florida. And, I see some people have shown up for that. Albert curates that.
Albert, thank you.
Albert, I think it's a good one today. I stole a peek. It does look, there's nudity in it, first of all, correct?
There's some nudity, and there's some gators. Actually, a pair of gators.
Nice. Nudity and a pair of gators. Do you need anything more for, grab a Cabernet and kick it with us for a great Friday show. Kim is here.
Kim, how are you? Managing
all things in the news. It is quite the day. In fact, it is, it's a special day. And it is the holiest day of the year.
Can you let him finish, sir?
No, Let me finish. It's the holiest day of the year at the Alito House. It's Flag Day, everybody. Come on.
Is that what it is?
Let me get a flag going. The Alitos, I didn't see it. She's doing it. She's knitting a new one. Another hateful, MAGA-adjacent flag going up at the Alito House. I wonder what they're doing for Flag Day. It has to be a very special experience. In any case, however you're celebrating Flag Day, we are glad that you could be with us today. We are going to talk about many things. Michael Shure joins us in the second hour. We'll talk politics and many of the things going on in the news, not the least of which is a breaking story. The Supreme Court saying they are okay in the United States of guns, okay with bump stocks.
Crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of Samuel Alito, he took some time out of Flag Day to help out on the opinion. He's basically saying that these devices that turn a semi-automatic rifle into something closer to a machine gun, he and his fellow Supreme Court conservative justices feel as though these bump stocks are illegal. So for gun rights advocates, it's a big day for you. It's a blow to efforts to reduce gun violence and the massacre that occurred in Las Vegas. As you're aware, there was a bump stock involved in that turned that weapon into effectively a machine gun. It was a 6-3 decision. Justice Clarence Thomas, he of regular stock, as you know, he wrote
I come from regular stock.
Yeah, he wrote, a bump stock does not convert a semi-automatic rifle into a machine gun any more than a shooter with a lightning-fast trigger does.
Oh, my God.
Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissenting.
How do they sleep at night? I mean, how do they we have these mass shootings and kids at schools affected? How do they look themselves in the mirror?
Yeah.
And who's paying them to make these ridiculous decisions?
This is, I would have said that it's an NRA type thing, but I think this has become part of the culture of, quote, conservative America. So I really feel as though this transcends now some NRA control over either the legislative branch of government or in this case, the judicial branch. But I'm just saying in general, I think it's transcended that. It's become something else. So that's one of the things going on. It's a breaking news story. That's why I mention it. The other thing that's going on, well, just while I'm on the the courts. Clarence Thomas now remembering that those private jet trips that he took, that he said he didn't take, and it's a total lie. Those private jet trips paid for by billionaire political donor Harlan Crow. He now remembers, actually, it's not a lie. I did take those. And so it was Crow himself that provided the information. There was a subpoena for the information. Funny how that wasn't in any kind of disclosure prior to there being a subpoena. And these gifts, newly revealed, were not indicated in his annual financial disclosure, the one that Clarence Thomas made public last week. He admitted to taking 2 2019 trips paid for by Harlan Crow. And that these other trips inadvertently omitted. So all of this is coming out as a result of, as you're aware, probably the ProPublica reports. They did a great job of investigating this. We spoke of it with David K. Johnston, and then I thought David K. Johnston so appropriately pointed to Harlan Crow and that collusion associated with landlords who had a case before the court. Mm-hmm. Harlan Crow, a corporate owner of this platform that allowed landlords to curate information and essentially collude to increase rents. And that case came before the Supreme Court. So Harlan Crow very much interested in staying in good favor with the justices, and the one justice, of course, that he's bought and paid for, and that is Clarence Thomas. It is pay to play on the Supreme Court. Hit the thumbs up button and then subscribe, says Ricky O'Bear, and that is exactly right. We need that smash.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash that like button. Do it. We are live every day for you, 2 hours a day. We Periscope up on the West Coast, but we are with you on the East Coast, in the Midwest, and across the world. And we really appreciate everyone who contributes to the show, who throws us a thumbs up, who shares any video or any short end. Kelly Malloy, one of those people. Big shout out.
Big shout out.
For a $5 super chat. Great way to start off my work week. Mark is on. Kelly is on a different schedule than the traditional Monday through Friday schedule. Albert himself, he on a different schedule, right, Albert? You're not on the regular. You like Kelly, have sort of, you'll work weekends, you'll work overnights in your other job. Isn't that right?
Albert, thank you.
That's correct. Yeah, I had a friend ask if I could show up to his Wednesday golf game to help him out. I said, I have nothing consistent about my schedule. I wish I could go, but there's nothing.
Yeah.
I can't function like a normal human being anymore.
Well, right now, but later you'll have a seniority, and I suspect that will be different. How about Tom Gunn, my favorite gun, maybe my only gun that falls into that category.
Big shout out.
Gunn. Tom Gunn with a $20 super sticker. Love my Tom Gunn. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. Everything's better with a British accent, don't you think?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I did that by accident. I hit the click, so you click it again if you'd like. Lucy McAllister. Photo finish between Lucy McAllister as my favorite McAllister and Kim McAllister as my favorite McAllister. It's a photo finish, too close to call.
It's spelled differently, so you don't have to choose.
Well, I do have to choose. As you know, I choose between all things. There's always a competition.
The name is completely different.
Well, you say that, but it sounds exactly the same to me.
Big shout out.
One is McAllister, one is McCallister. See,
I'm guessing
totally
that
different.
when she says it, I'm Lucy McAllister. Yeah, I'm just saying, I think that's the way she says it. And for that reason, it puts her in competition with you and makes her
Kim, how are you?
I think a photo finisher. Very close. And you're probably saying, why? I mean, you're so close to Kim. You and Kim talk all the time. You clearly like Kim. You give her a hard time. She gives you a hard time. I mean, isn't Kim clearly the McAllister to whom you feel the greatest loyalty and with whom you regard the greatest fondness. No, you'd be wrong. Lucy contributes to the show, and that makes her immediately
Are you saying I
someone
don't
who's in the
contribute
hunt.
to the show? I contribute in other ways.
You do, and that's why it's a photo finish. So I'm very excited that Lucy McAllister is with us. I don't want to dwell on this anymore. We can come
like her
back
better.
to it.
It's fine.
I'd
fine.
love
It
to
doesn't
come
hurt.
back to this frequently.
It doesn't hurt
if I
like you
could.
think it would
When
hurt.
you're angry.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Lucy, for stirring the pot. We love our pot stirred on a Friday. Doug Cope, $5 super sticker.
Big shout out.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you something about Friday shows. Friday shows are like Monday shows. We are knocked down in terms of monetization. And the reason for that on Fridays is because we do Friday Fabulous Florida, and Friday Fabulous Florida usually has narcotics in it. Somebody's been busted with meth, whatever it might be, the machetes, nudity. So these are all things that reduce our advertiser friendliness. Okay, this is the YouTube world that we live in. And so when you guys contribute on Fridays, it really matters because essentially it offsets the fact that we're not going to make any money for just the show living organically on YouTube. So appreciate it very, very much. The Lady Beatrice, how about it for a 10 spot?
Big shout out.
Super sticker. Thank you very much. We are a crowd-funded show, so we love the Lady Beatrice and all of you who are part of the crowd that does fund.
Big shout out.
I will tell you that on Mondays, we are lower in terms of our monetization and ad suitability, as it's called. And the reason for that on Mondays is what? Because of True Crime Corner. Because it deals with people getting offed in awful ways. And so that hurts us in that way. As long as we're recognizing those who are making contributions and are part of our crowd, I did want to recognize a Patreon membership. Actually, this is interesting. I believe Audrey W. How about Audrey W? Big shout out.
Big shout out.
She was a $5 a month contributor. She's edited her membership from $5 to $15 a month. Are you
that's
kidding?
nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Or as I like to say, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes. That's very cool. And I also had another Patreon subscriber who I'll get to as well. A new Patreon subscriber, I believe, right here is Don and Tricia. Don and Tricia for $15 a month.
Big shout out.
That's really
Big shout out
nice.
to you, and thank you. You can find our Patreon click-through below all videos. It'll take you right to the Patreon page, and you can make a contribution, be part of the community that supports us. We're really on an NPR kind of PBS model. You know, if you like this, you like the stories, you like the guests, you like the vibe, whatever, please make sure that we stay on the air by helping us in these ways. West Theory, how about a $10 super chat?
Big shout out.
McAllister competition. One gives money, one costs money.
Are you saying I'm a drag on the show? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't
And I
think you-
like Wes too. That's like an arrow to the heart, my friend.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'll tell you, now you know how I feel. The crowd turns on you in an instant, like a rabid animal. Before you know it, you're an outcast. It's crazy. We're all just penciled in here. Sal and Cal says today is June 14th. Here's $6.14 for 614.
No better
Big shout
reason.
out, Sal
Big
and
shout
Cal.
out.
Loving it. Loving it. Loving it. All right. Thank you, guys. We have a lot to get to. Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster in San Francisco, will join us today in the second hour, along with Michael Shure, as mentioned, and Friday Fabulous Florida, bottom of the hour.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I mentioned the Supreme Court bump stock decision. The other thing that happened in the last day is that the former president, Donald Trump, went back to Capitol Hill. You know, the last time he was up that way, he was trying to stir the pot a bit as thousands rushed the Capitol building and violently tried to stop the certification of the vote. many remark the bizarre, eerily ironic nature of the fact that a bunch of people who identified Donald Trump, these are people from the GOP, lawmakers, they identified him as really the prime mover behind all of that violence and unrest that day on June 6th. They welcomed him with open arms.
They should have put the barricades back up. Keep him out.
No. Kim, very, very tough with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see what happened and get a sense of the way it's landing amidst those who are lawmakers on Capitol Hill and a big part of the GOP. Here's something from ABC.
So, John, let's talk about this meeting because it's Trump's first time holding meetings with GOP lawmakers since January 6th. And many of those Republicans condemned the attack and Trump at the time. So what do you make of them having this meeting now just down the street?
Well, I mean, I think that this is symbolic of something that has actually been happening for some time, and that is Trump's total takeover of the Republican Party. He is here. He is going to be greeted like a hero there at that first meeting, which will be with the House Republicans. Most of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach him, as you recall, just a week after the January 6th attack on the Capitol, are gone. There's no more Liz Cheney. There's no more Adam Kinzinger. There's no more Peter Meyer. There's no more Tom Rice. All of those guys and men and women who voted to impeach him, not all of them, but all of those that took a high-profile stance, either got defeated in Republican primaries because Trump targeted them, or saw that they were going to get defeated in Republican primaries and decided to bow out of Congress. So here he is. He's returning not as a tarnished former president, but something of a conquering hero to those House Republicans.
Now, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and Trump haven't spoken in more than 3 years, but even
I think
he
this
plans
is interesting.
to be at
Stop
this
for just a
meeting
second,
today. How
Albert. This is
significant-
interesting, the dynamic between Trump and those who clearly identified themselves as people who would call out Trump for his responsibility. And the fact is his fingerprints were all over that riot at the Capitol. So some actually in high-profile positions in the GOP actually called that out, among them Mitch McConnell. Here you go. Go ahead, Albert, please.
Is that?
Yeah, that's going to be the second meeting with the Senate Republicans. He's got these extraordinary 2 meetings, and it's going to be virtually every Republican in Congress, not all, but virtually all. On the Senate side, Mitch McConnell has confirmed he will be at the meeting. And Diane, Mitch McConnell has not spoken to Donald Trump since December 15th of 2020. And I use that very specific date because there's quite a story behind it. Mitch McConnell went on the floor of the Senate after the Electoral College votes had been cast. And he congratulated Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on their victory in the 2020 election. And Donald Trump was so infuriated by this that he immediately got on the phone. McConnell, as soon as he got back to his office just down the hallway from the Senate floor, was told, the president's on the line for you. And Trump started screaming at him. I'm told by McConnell. McConnell described this conversation to me, that it was an expletive-ridden rant. How dare you do this? We're still fighting this. And that was Trump ultimately hung up on him, and that's the last time the 2 men ever spoke.
Well, I mean, there you have it. It's a reality that Donald Trump owns the GOP. So if you're in the GOP and if you're high profile in the GOP, you pretty much have to get onto that hymnal and start singing from it. He said, Donald Trump did, at least, through his people, and he did articulate the fact that he wanted to come to Capitol Hill to talk about an agenda, to talk about a policy. I mean, you and I know that he doesn't have any policy plans. He's just, his policy is you'll profess loyalty to me and you'll be okay with me. And that's exactly what happened. So he meets to talk about this agenda. Instead, he spent about an hour talking about House GOP drama, cracking jokes, saying that Nancy Pelosi's daughters had said that, you and my mother, in a different time would have been a good couple. It was a bizarre meeting, and yet it was very on brand for Trump. He trashed the city of Milwaukee. And Milwaukee is where the GOP convention is going to be, in Wisconsin is a swing state. Now, again, in this weird Alice in Wonderland world in which we live, that may or may not stick, but it is amazing that he just can make all of these different statements and be as reckless with his rhetoric as he wants to be, and he does it with utter impunity. We'll talk to Michael Shure about this. And again, this was, I believe today is his birth. Is it today his birthday, or his birthday was?
I think it's today.
Today. So Trump celebrating his birthday. He's on the big birthday tour. He was presented yesterday with a game ball from the congressional softball game. That congressional softball game is an annual event. It has achieved some degree of, I was going to say notoriety, but it's almost maybe infamy would be the better word, because of that gunman who shot up the field that one day. You may recall that. In any case, they played the game. The GOP beat the Democrats in softball, and they have this softball, the game ball from Wednesday night's congressional baseball game, and they presented it to their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, during the meeting. I mean, it was, in a way, we can make fun of it, but it was symbolic of the fact that you're our leader, you run the show now, and here is the fruits of the last battle are all wrapped up right here in this softball. So he's talking about building the House majority next term, and we'll talk to more, address that more and talk to that notion more when we speak to Michael Shure in the next hour. But that's essentially where Donald Trump is on his birthday week, and where congressional Republicans are. They can't wait to make a deal with Donald Trump. Among them, Marco Rubio, who is increasingly looking as though he might be Trump's pick for vice president. Again, we'll talk to Michael Shure about that. But apparently it was a kind of off-the-rails hour that he spent up there, and it was not about policy. It was about recrimination and about GOP dominance. So
The Mark Thompson Show.
that is that. Get on the bus or get run over by the bus is the Trump policy. I have interesting news from the Pope. He's addressing the G7 summit. And, it's interesting because you could say, well, the Pope, it's, religion. It's, we're not that religious. It's only the Catholics. And, you could say that, but I think you can also say the Pope wields political power. That's really what religion has been since its very early start, no matter what the religion. It doesn't have to be, it's not unique to Catholicism.
Well, usually when the Pope speaks, we report on what he said. So, noteworthy enough to make international news.
But the reason for that is because of the political power, I think, that he wields, right? It's not just some guy who claims to be close to God speaking. It's some guy who claims to be close to God who a lot of people follow, sufficient numbers of people that we feel obligated in the media to cover what he says. So you're right, we cover with some eagerness those comments that he makes to these G7 leaders, the leaders of the world's wealthiest democracies. And he's challenged all those leaders to keep human dignity foremost in their policies and developing and using artificial intelligence. He warns that artificial intelligence and powerful technology like artificial intelligence technologies risk turning human relations themselves into algorithms. Pope Francis brought his moral authority to bear on the group of seven. This is from AP. Invited by the host nation Italy, which is, of course, the seat, really, of Catholicism in the modern world, to address this special session at their annual summit. Francis said politicians have to take the lead in making sure AI remains human-centric so that decisions about when to use weapons or even less lethal tools always remain made by humans and not machines. Quote, we would condemn humanity to a future without hope if we took away people's ability to make decisions about themselves and their lives by dooming them to depend on the choices of machines. We need to ensure and safeguard a space for proper human control over the choices made by artificial intelligence programs. Human dignity itself depends on it. And that, in essence, encapsulates what he was saying to the crowd. AI really does represent so much potential, but it represents a tremendous threat, no question about it. And the notion that the world could be taken to the brink of war or even into some kind of serious confrontation as a result of machine technology essentially moving it ahead, accelerating it that way, it's frightening. I mean, it's right out of sci-fi. So, Albert, do I have time for a quick law and disorder before we get to Kim's news and then we could do a Florida?
Yep, we have some time.
All right, let's do it. Here's law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Let's go to the border for this one. A former U.S. Customs officer has been convicted of accepting bribes to allow drug-filled vehicles into the United States.
What?
These drug-filled vehicles are coming from Mexico, and he figured out a way to give traffickers a 1-hour window to reach his lane at a San Diego border crossing. He made about $13,000 per vehicle.
Who is having that conversation?
Well, they are knocking it down. $13K, you don't even have to have a conversation. You can slide right through.
Per car? I mean, that's a way to do it.
Yeah, that's almost what the toll is on the Golden Gate Bridge.
There you go.
Prosecutors say that Leonard Darnell George, and let me say, I know you don't want to hear it, but that is a very strong name. That's all I'm saying. No judgment on the rest of his life, but a good name. Leonard Darnell George, a Customs and Border Protection officer working for two separate criminal organizations. Again, got to give him credit. Knocking down two different... It's like he is like Albert. You know how Albert works here, and he also has another job. Well, Leonard Darnell George, the Customs and Border Protection officer who was taking bribes and allowing large portions of the border to remain unchecked for an hour while they trafficked a bunch of drugs in, he also works two jobs. Who knows if he has time for a podcast, but I'll tell you the truth, he won't have time now because he is...
Busted.
Busted, exactly. He allowed at least 19 crossings between late 2021 to June 2022. The vehicles contained several hundred pounds of meth, as well as cocaine, fentanyl, and heroin. Also, because there was still space in the car, they brought people into the country illegally as well.
What?
Investigators obtained text messages showing that George agreed to let cars through. Now, they say here for $17,000 a vehicle. So some people were only paying $13,000, some people were paying $17,000. Maybe they had like a frequent buyer plan. I don't know how it worked through, but some paid $17,000, some paid $13,000. $13,000 was the base, though. He had $68,000 on him after he let through 4 vehicles. George's attorney, mum on this issue, has said nothing. He was convicted, and he is going away probably for a long time. He could get 10 years to life in prison. Sentencing is set for September 13th. So,
sayonara, sucker.
Yeah, he's probably going away for a while. But for those of us who now have a sentencing calendar, because you've got the sentencing for Donald Trump coming up, you have the sentencing for Hunter Biden coming up, now you can add the sentencing for Leonard Darnell George, the Customs and Border Protection Officer who is working for 2 separate criminal organizations. And arrests have been made in the Bay Area after 20 alleged jewelry store robbers armed with hammers ran from officers.
20?
Yeah, 20 robbers. They came in en masse.
That's scary.
They smashed display cases. They stole merchandise. It happened around Sunnyvale at P&G Jewelers. They fled the business in multiple vehicles, and the authorities got there after they'd already fled. The video from Sunnyvale's DPS shows the suspects blitzing the jewelry store. 2 suspects. By the way, Albert, I think if you, I don't know, you can click on that link that I've provided you, and you'll probably get some video if you want to try to rally that. The alleged robbers, meantime, I'll tell you, 2 suspect vehicles were located by Sunnyvale officers. Wow, very well done. And that's when a pursuit started, when the vehicles evaded traffic enforcement stops.
God, how do you chase 20 different thieves? They're probably going in all different directions.
Yeah, they were only chasing these 2 initially on 101 towards San Francisco. Officers lost sight of the first suspect vehicle. They abandoned the chase. Then the robbers were inside the second vehicle, threw stolen jewelry out onto the roadway. Yeah, like
diamonds
I don't know what
bouncing off the
about.
asphalt. Yeah.
I don't have anything.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Well, officers from outside agencies located the second suspect vehicle abandoned on 101 near Whipple Avenue in Redwood City. Oh, that was one of my favorite exits when I want to go to Redwood City, is Whipple Avenue.
Yeah, it's a strong one.
Yeah. 5 suspects fled from the vehicle on foot. So there was a big, big chase. You can see it involved canine units. It involved chasing these guys down. They finally got them. The list of charges: armed robbery, felony vehicle evasion, resisting arrest, burglary, conspiracy to commit a crime, vandalism, possession of burglary tools, and outstanding warrants. Wow, what a surprise. They had outstanding warrants.
Sorry, they made me watch like 45 seconds of ads before getting to that video.
All right, you can Google it if you really want to see the video. It's a bunch of guys, they go into a jewelry store and they smash stuff.
Google it.
Yeah, it's really not that great, but nonetheless, so 20 people rob a jewelry store, and congratulations to the cops for catching up to them. That is law and disorder.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Out there, yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I love that throwing the jewelry out of the car thing. That's a very, very strong move, you know. I think the strongest move is after a cash holdup of some kind, where you've got an armored car that's been knocked over, or it's a bank or something, and the cops are on your tail, and then what do? You throw the money out. Now the chaos that ensues because people see that it's money, that actually helps you get away. Throwing jewelry out, sorry, I mean, doesn't help you. Really doesn't help you. Kim's News is coming up. Before Kim's News, though, I saw that I am, do I have people to thank? Because I like to give a little love to people who show us love. So, Marilyn Gunning, what up, Marilyn Gunning? Big shout out to you. Thank you for a $5 super sticker and support of the show. We are really grateful for all of you who support. Oh, geez, YouTube, says Jim Slayton. Is that what it says? Oh, geez. Yeah.
I think he's talking about the
demonetization or reducing. Jim Slayton, you are a great supporter
Big
of
shout
the
out.
show. I follow you on X. Not really active anymore on any of this stuff, but I really, Jim Slayton, I do follow his content. Vilma, Mark, for your next dollar store run, here's $2. Thank you.
Big shout out.
Vilma, big shout out and a big supporter of the show. Vilma is really, one of the stalwarts. And Trevor Starr in Hollywood, 1010. Missed the show yesterday. Rest in peace, Howard Feynman. Yeah, we mentioned Howard Feynman yesterday, and that is a substantial loss to journalism and the world of covering politics. Michael Shure might even have a thought about that as well. So thank you.
Big shout out.
Thank you for that. We missed you yesterday. Glad you're on board today, Trevor. In the loss department, I was looking for the picture of Grady's bird. We have a listener named Grady, who's a great supporter of the show, and he's been with us since the very beginning. And he said this, and he gave us a $20 super chat. And he said, I appreciate all your... Can you put it back up? Because I don't remember what he said. I appreciate all your support. Getting better daily. He lost his dear, his bird, I believe it was a parrot. I shouldn't say it was, but, a sweet parrot died. And I just, I know what that... We all know what that's like. It's
right.
It's one of the reasons I, speak about animal issues and feel as strongly as I do about animal issues, because these are sentient, thinking, feeling creatures, all of them. And they all deserve dignity, and I'm really sorry for your loss. Yeah. So thank you, Grady, for your continued support of the show. And he said that he sent me an email at one point, but I never received it, so I don't know. So I really was like a day late finding out about it, but it was a sad thing.
I was reminded that, remember when we were celebrating, I forget what number we were celebrating of subscribers, or maybe it was 1 year anniversary, and people sent in videos. He had sent in a video with the bird on his shoulder. So, yeah. Yeah,
no, when you mentioned that to me, I remembered that. Yeah, absolutely. So we have that somewhere, and I think Tony might have it. So I'm looking to get in touch with Tony on Monday or whatever. So,
thanks, Tony.
So we'll see. Because we've all looked for it. Kim looked for it. I looked for it. Albert looked for it. We couldn't find it. So, hey, thanks for being here. Smash the like button.
With your iron rod.
We're a little show that has grown, but we're still trying to grow so that we can get enough momentum to, really get some altitude on this show. And we're close to 35,000 subscribers, aren't we, Albert? I think we're a few hundred shy of 35,000, which is...
last time I checked, we were 37,000, something like that.
So that's a... we're at 34.7, you mean? Is that what you're saying?
34.7, yeah, 34.7.
Yeah.
Albert, thank you.
So in any case, I thank you for subscribing to the show, sharing the show, and supporting the show. It really does matter. Kim's News, Friday Fabulous Florida. Current subscribers, 34,704. Wow. Love our peeps who came from KGO Radio. Love our new peeps. Do they say peeps anymore, Albert, or is that kind of I feel like peeps is something that may have past its expiration date. Am I
Here
right
and there,
about that?
I feel like. Or maybe I'm just slightly older in the generation.
You're saying it's still a viable reference, peeps?
I'd say so.
All right.
Shout out
Albert,
my
thank
peeps
you.
out there. Yeah.
All right.
I like peeps.
Good. Oh, you like peeps.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank then the peeps from KGO and the peeps who have found us along the way, and new subscribers, and everywhere you join us, and in every way you join us, we appreciate it. Kim's News, Florida, Politics for Sure, the Culture Blaster Talks Movies, all still to come. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Oh, yeah. On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by Tenuta Vineyards in Livermore. And as Mark mentioned, This fine group of people, the Supreme Court, lifting a federal ban on bump stocks. The court ruled today the firearm accessory that allows semi-automatic rifles to fire more rapidly can't be included in an older law banning machine guns. The 6-3 decision striking down a regulation imposed during the Trump administration. Despite the ruling, bump stocks remain illegal in 18 states. We'll see how that goes. Speaking of Florida, I know we're going to talk about Florida today. They've got some serious business going on there as well. They're bracing for more heavy downpours, and the National Weather Service says excessive rainfall is likely to continue to bring flooding to the southern Florida peninsula today. Flash flood warnings there as well. Britain's Princess Kate says she is making good progress in her treatment for cancer. This is the latest photo that the palace has released of Princess Kate. She says she's still undergoing chemotherapy and that she has a few more months of treatment remaining. She also announced that she'll be attending a military parade on Saturday to mark King Charles III's birthday. So that's why she put out a statement saying she will be attending a public event.
No.
Ukraine flatly rejecting the demands by Russia to give up territory to end the war between the two countries. They want land, and Ukraine says you can't have it. Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Ukraine would have to agree to certain conditions that include dropping its bid to join NATO, pulling out troops from 4 Ukrainian provinces claimed by Moscow. Putin's offer came just days after the U.S. and Ukraine agreed to a new 10-year security agreement. So,
Yeah, I think that's a complicated flashpoint, and if the administration actually turns over, life's going to change radically for Ukrainians and for that entire situation. Trump will essentially pull us out of any long-term agreement, just as he did, pulled us out of the Iran nuclear accord. I mean, so that will be engineered quite aggressively, I suspect, on Russia's behalf by the new Trump administration, should he win.
Well, who's to say they won't just invade again and take more land and more land and more land, and you keep giving it up until you have no country left?
Well, that certainly is the view of the Ukrainians, that we don't want. I mean, it already happened under Obama when they moved into Crimea. We didn't do anything, So these easternmost parts of Ukraine that have already been taken, I mean, I don't know that the Ukrainians are going to get them back. It's a stalemate at best right now.
They're having some laughs at the Vatican. Look at that. Pope Francis is meeting with a group of comedians from around the world to discuss the importance of humor. The Pope met with Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, Whoopi Goldberg, Chris Rock, and Conan O'Brien at the Vatican. He told the group they have the power to spread peace and smiles when there's so much gloomy news. He also said it's not blasphemy to laugh at God. Oh, you can
he also said, Jimmy Fallon, I think your apology thing, I get it, but it's going to, no, not so funny anymore, Yeah,
I think someone might have put this in her hand because there's one picture where she's not holding anything, but someone kind of put the Sister Act movie in the middle there, which would have been funny if she'd brought it, but no, I don't think she did.
That's pretty funny. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why you go to that, especially if you're Colbert. He's a big Catholic. But
Conan O'Brien?
Oh, Conan O'Brien, sure. But I also, this is the oddest collection of people who I think just wanted an audience with the Pope. And I don't blame them, but I'm just saying it's kind of funny that the Pope felt, I want to bring in, we got everybody. We've got Chris Rock, Jimmy Fallon, we've got Conan O'Brien, Louis C.K. Oh, no, Louis C.K. He's too controversial. I don't know. I'm just saying. Amy Schumer. No, not Amy Schumer. She's too sexual for the Pope.
They had to bring Conan. I read somewhere that Conan O'Brien had his ancestry DNA tested, and in an incredibly rare moment found out that he is 100% Irish. Now, usually you would think like you're Danish or, there's some other influence in your blood, even if your family is from Ireland. A lot of people in Ireland have other nationalities, right? No,
Sure.
100% Irish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't know. Weird. But I mean, it's the oddest meeting, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me like an odd meeting.
Well, yeah. Funny though. I mean,
fun. Don't get me wrong, but not just odd. Okay.
I guess, but with all the the G7, the serious things happening, the Pope's like, can you just bring in some laughs for
that's
me?
what it feels like
Yeah.
to me. It's like, geez,
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, good for them. I mean, good for him.
Well, in more serious news, Evan Gershkovich, he's the jailed American journalist, and now he's learned that he'll have to stand trial in Russia. The Wall Street Journal says the correspondent has been jailed more than 440 days on trumped-up espionage charges. No word on when this trial will begin. The Biden administration has tried to negotiate his release, but Russia's foreign ministry said they will only consider a prisoner swap after a verdict is reached in his trial.
Kim, I do have an important correction.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, my words upset so many people, which is...
My words upset so
What
many
did you
people.
say?
Well, one of those people was Johnny Bag of Donuts, who said, Mark, the Pope is not Italian. So insensitive. My God.
My
You're
bad.
right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. I misspoke.
I misspoke.
I think
It's
you need
just
to
a
apologize
normal-
to the entire Italian community.
I want to, I want to apologize.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
Well, just substitute Italian community.
There you go.
El Papa is de Argentina, I think, isn't he? From Argentina?
I don't know.
Does anybody know? Maybe Albert, you would know that.
Google
I
it.
feel the best shot at knowing it would be Albert. But I had so I could do
Argentina
the-
is correct. Yes.
Yes, Argentina is correct. Thank you. So I know my Pope, but apparently I don't know him well enough to avoid the knee-jerk Italian impression that I did. And I want to apologize to Johnny Bag of Donuts for that. As I say, my bad.
My bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right. Go ahead, Kim. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. This is going down at Cal State University, Los Angeles, and now the school is demanding the end of this pro-Palestinian protest encampment on its campus. This comes after dozens of protesters barricaded themselves inside of a building Wednesday night, damaging furniture and appliances, vandalizing windows, walls, and walkways. It caused tens of thousands of dollars in damage. In the statement released yesterday afternoon, Cal State LA President Bereneka Johnson-Eanes said the trust the university had in the Gaza Solidarity encampment to remain peaceful has now been violated. Ian's office is inside the building that was vandalized as well.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about this. So. It's
Speaking of
absolute
schools, Dr. Julio Frank will be UCLA's first ever Latino chancellor. The 70-year-old, born in Mexico City, is a global health expert. Frank is currently the president of the University of Miami. He will succeed UCLA Chancellor Gene Block, who retires July 31st. So
He's El
UCLA.
Presidente, and now he's going to become El Presidente of a different universidad.
That's right.
Yes.
Pretty good. We'll take it. They needed somebody,
I
right?
feel like I need to work another accent and having
If you could.
booted the Italian thing. Exactly.
If you could do French next, that'd be great.
Of course. Of course.
San Francisco is warning criminals they're going to be caught on camera. Smile. The city now has 100 license plate readers up and running, and so far they're all working. Police not only arrested a sexual assault suspect, also some accused in the retail theft cases. Mayor London Breed says she's aware of privacy concerns, but says there are trade-offs and that they need this type of technology to protect the public. About 300 cameras will be installed next month as well.
Love it. Crack down in San Francisco. Let's get the city
right.
back to where it
Oh,
was.
girl, baby girl.
Don't even play.
play.
Don't even play in San Francisco anymore. They're cracking the whip in San Francisco now.
No matter
Watch
what you do,
Yeah.
they're going to catch it on tape. Speaking
right.
of San Francisco, the top 5 candidates hoping to lead San Francisco are headed back to the stage on Monday.
Yeah, there was a debate. I was going to mention it, but we ran out of time. I'm glad you're touching on this.
They sounded off in the first formal mayoral debate this week. A sold-out crowd packed the Sidney Goldstein Theater to hear from Mayor London Breed, former interim mayor Mark Farrell, who's been on the show, supervisors Aaron Peskin and Asha Safai, and the heir to the Levi Strauss fortune, or one of them, Daniel Lurie. The candidates touched on public safety, fentanyl, and homelessness as well.
I'm a Mark Farrell guy, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who came on our show. And he's my guy, Mark Farrell. So
You do not know what you are talking about.
It's possible I don't know what I'm talking about, but for now, I'm a big Mark Farrell guy. And he's, of everybody on stage, he's the only one who's actually been mayor. Okay? He was an interim mayor, as Kim had just mentioned.
That's not fake. That's real.
Exactly. Thank you.
Other than Mayor London Breed, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her. We do.
Oops.
I'm just assuming I'm assuming she's not going to win, but I may be wrong.
Put that coffee down.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's amazing. Next up at the Sphere in Las Vegas, the Eagles. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famers will play a total of 8 shows over 4 weekends at this cutting-edge venue this fall. The residency will kick off September 20th and end October 19th.
Wow.
U2 opened the venue last year. They've been followed by residencies from Phish and Dead & Company, and next up, the Eagles.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never what?
Leave.
Anybody? Leave is right.
Leave.
That's what we were looking for. Well done. Yeah.
We have a bit of exciting Giants news. This one's for Albert, and it's regarding the mascot for the Giants, Lucille. You know Lucille, right? No, you don't?
Albert, do you know Lucille?
Of course, yep.
Of course, everybody knows Lucille.
Lucille's had some alternate uniforms, outfits this year.
Oh, that's nice.
In different types of forms, yeah.
A little variety going for Lucille. Well, Lucille has been named to the Mascot Hall of Fame's class of 2024.
There's never been anything like this.
He's been a favorite at Oracle Park since 1997, cheering on the team with his signature sunglasses, delighting baseball fans of all ages. The mascot went to social media to thank everyone for their votes and support, saying, "I love you all," with the hashtag best day ever.
Oh, that's so sweet. We do have.
Way to go, Lucille.
There was a press conference, and Lucille's.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a little soundbite from the press conference.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah.
Lest
Thank you so much.
Okay, we get the idea.
Miss it. I want to make sure that anyone in the Bell Buckle, Tennessee area doesn't miss this event. It is the RC Cola Moon Pie Festival.
No.
I know. You're thinking to yourself, how could you possibly miss it? I know. Yeah, this is good stuff. Thousands of people are expected in Bedford County in Tennessee.
Now, moon pies are it's like a dessert, right?
I think so, yeah. There's a squid marshmallow inside, right?
I never thought that there would be a festival for it, though.
There is. It's an RC Cola Moon Pie Festival. Okay. And it's happening in this tiny village of Bell Buckle, Tennessee on Saturday. Wow. The event includes, in case you're going, a parade, clogging performances, live music, and the crowning of the RC Cola King and the Moon Pie Queen.
Wow.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
I believe that.
I just don't think you could get any more American than this. That's true. I mean, this is how it is. A clogging festival.
Yeah.
Yes.
God bless America. The end.
And if that wasn't enough, I mean, the clogging and the crowning, the gathering culminates with the cutting and the sharing of the world's largest moon pie.
Oh, my gosh. This is.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. I just said that. All right. Yeah.
This report is sponsored by Tenuta Vineyards in Livermore. They've got a big thing this weekend Big thing, June 16th, Father's Day at Tenuta, and you can still order your custom label with pictures of you and your dad. They have catered food available there, so contact Rich to receive the menu and check it out. The winery out at Tenuta is child-friendly. It's pet-friendly. They have outdoor areas. Really, really great. So check them out at Tenuta Vineyards in Livermore. And don't forget, if you say smash it with your iron rod, you get a 10% discount across the board.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Wow.
And if you're buying a case of wine, it's a 20% discount.
Man, that's the phrase that pays then.
It really is. All you have to do is call Rich. He's at 925-699-4576. Or you can email him, Rich at Tenuta, Tenuta, vineyard.com. Rich at TenutaVineyard.com. Interestingly, the website is different. It's TenutaWinery.com.
No.
So check it out. Take a look at all the different wines and varietals they have before you call him to order. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Check it out. Phrase that pays. And then order. I love it.
I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Mark Thompson Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens, and this is the greatest radio show in the history of the world. The Mark Thompson Show. It's in all the record books. The Mark Thompson Show.
Well, it is great to have everybody with us on a Friday. On Fridays, we do something special. I will tell you, first of all, in relation to the RC Cola and Moon Pie Festival, apparently there is considerable love in our audience for both RC Cola and Moon Pies. I'll start quickly with
what?
You can join our chat anytime, and you can join our chat after hours, too. That is to say, you can leave comments on any videos. We do read them all. RC Cola is, says Big E61. Shout out producer Calvin Wong says RC Cola is great. And I have a 12-pack of RC in the garage at this very moment, says Becky. And we'll need to pick up some moon pies, is what she's saying. And
to celebrate.
Finally, the Viewfinder's president says the Castro Safeway used to sell cartons of vanilla or chocolate moon pies, which replace scooter pies around 1960s to early 70s. Wow, some great moon pie dessert knowledge from Viewfinder's president. I'm super impressed, and impressed that everybody is so on board with that. Well, I'd love to linger and only talk moon pies and RC Cola, but sadly, as host, there it is, RC Moon Pie Festival. Is that the...
Does that say since 1917 they've been doing this?
Yeah,
or maybe Moon
great.
Pie since 1917. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty terrific.
Nobody has ever put something like this together that I've ever seen.
Oh, that's terrific.
You could eat a moon pie while you watch the clogging. This is fantastic.
This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
But it has happened. A Florida man is now in custody, walking around his neighborhood in total nudity, everybody. Total
that's
nudity.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rolf Braun is 73 years old. He was arrested and charged with exposure of sexual organs and resisting arrest.
Oh.
It all happened at the Recreation Plantation RV Resort in Lady Lake, Florida.
This
It
is
was
not
a
the guy
nice
you want to see naked. Look at him.
Florida afternoon, yeah. We on the show have a rich tradition of evaluating booking photos. This is another situation in which we will have to offer up a numerical value. We will assign one to this booking photo. Rolf is booked in with the orange handout jersey that he's given as an inmate. And I ask you, Kim, to assign a numerical value. Where is he on the booking photo scale, please?
I'm giving him a 5.
A 5. Wow. Very good.
Yeah.
How about you, Albert?
Maybe like a 7, 7 and a
Wow,
half.
a
Actually,
7.
pretty high. He looks like an aged Florida man, which is we don't really get that.
It does look like he's had a couple of I don't want to say run-ins, but contact with the law before. He looks like with his beard. He looks like David Letterman's beard if Letterman just kind of let it go even more than he has. And didn't manicure it or in any way handle it for a couple of weeks. I'm going to give him a 4, though, because I'm not, sorry, just the way I feel
rough.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The officer found Braun at his camper. He answered the door wearing a T-shirt as shorts with his genitals exposed through the neck part of the shirt, according to the police report. Yeah. He was uncooperative and taken into custody. Officers were able to handcuff him, and he is in custody as we speak. A Florida man is accused of harassing Walgreens worker trying to drive over manager. It happened in Winter Springs. He tried to run over the manager of a local Walgreens store, according to the cops. The guy, identified as Juan Matos, he's 31 years old, entered the store, created a disturbance, threatening a cashier, making sexual advances toward her. He was trouble. He's 31.
Oh.
I know. Kim likes him. He's kind of handsome.
He kind of has a Brad Pitt thing going on.
He sure does. What do you want to give him on the booking photo scale, please, Kim?
I'm not allowed to consider what he did.
No, you are not.
Because I don't want to get yellow carded again.
No, I'm surprised we even have to revisit that question at all. But no, you are not.
I'm giving him a 7.5.
7.5. Albert, how about you?
Quite the opposite. Doesn't look like the Florida man that I think of. So he's a 3.8, and noted that he did admit, I have a problem, when he was going through all of this. So that's
he doesn't have a problem that bothers Kim, apparently.
No.
And
No, he's
I'm going to give him.
He's
I'm going to
all right
give him a
with me.
7. Yeah, I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah. He's a fairly good-looking fellow.
He is that.
Yeah.
He is that. He was asked to leave after he made these advances, and the cashier called her father to the store. The manager told her to hide in the back office for safety. The father did show up, and then, along with the manager, asked Matos to leave, following him to his car to make sure that he actually did leave. He then reversed the vehicle, and that's when he tried to run them over. Finally, the cops arrived at Matos's home, and they made the arrest. And during the arrest, as Albert says, he admitted, I have a problem.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Yeah. He was upset, he says, because the crazy lady at Walgreens was accusing me of saying things that I didn't say and asking me to leave. That'll do it. That'll make you want to run somebody over. Meantime, on the other side of town, a Florida man smashed through Orlando airport fencing, drove across runways. This is in an active taxiway.
Shouldn't you get shot for that?
Oh, wow. Kim is very, very tough.
No, I mean, where's the security at the airport? You could be setting off a bomb on a runway and hurting people on a plane.
So you're saying if you had been head of security, you would have shot this guy?
Open fire, for full on, yeah.
What?
I mean, it's the United States of guns. Why do we not have guns if we're not going to protect the people?
Wow.
Good day, sir.
37 years old, he's accused of driving through a fence at Orlando International Airport, across several runways and tarmacs. Then he was detained by airport security. They say that 37-year-old Ryan Welch, who you see here, quickly a booking photo evaluation. Kim, I ask you, where is he on the scale?
6.
Albert?
Right down the middle, 5.
I think it's strong.
Actually.
I think he's got a big dose of crazy. Look at those eyes. He's
He
not a
does look
bad-looking dude. I'm going to give him an 8.
Oh, wow.
He does have a mark on his face as well, too. So that'll give him more points.
Yeah. He smashed his vehicle through the airport's fencing near Terminal C, drove onto the tarmac. Several people called 911 to report this, and authorities said that he was stopped and got out of the vehicle, where he was tackled and detained by an airport employee until the cops arrived. There is no cause yet as to what prompted him to do this. A Florida man witnesses a bear fight.
Ooh.
And the bear fight included 2 alligators, everyone. This has all of the makings of a Florida story.
Bears and alligators in the same story.
every flavor of yes.
I don't fantastic. Even. You know what? Whatever you're going to tell me, it's already my winner. It's already in.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it.
The bear went paw to snout with 2 alligators as there was an attempt to cross this river. And you can see that this river in Florida, there was this guy kayaking along the river. That's the guy you're seeing now. He pulled out his cell phone, zoomed in as much as he could, and it was this confrontation between a bear and 2 gators.
In the battle between bear and gator, who will emerge victorious?
Thank you. It is that. And you can see the video now. Albert, who did emerge victorious? Do we know?
I think that guy's rock band just got a lot of promotion, so he came out on top of the fight, the 2 bears.
Okay, so he was the winner, really, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope the bear. I was pulling for. I think we're all pulling for the bear.
Oh, we're all pulling for the bear. Yeah.
It was 2 against 1. It was not a fair fight.
Bears are too cute. Leave them alone, but they're very cute.
Meantime, a woman gets into the act. She was arrested after she hit a McDonald's. It was armed robbery. Aisha Williams, 33, arrested and charged with robbery with a firearm. It was just after midnight where all the fun goes down at McDonald's. She was wearing a mask, but she was later identified by employees. She walked into the restaurant with a gun and a note, forced the employees to the back of the restaurant, took their phones from them. She demanded cash. The cash was put inside a green bank bag. She's kind of attractive.
Yeah,
we have a picture of her now. The
cute.
booking photo scale, where do you put her?
I'm giving her a 7.
I'm giving her a 7 also. Albert, please.
Just to be different, 6.3, and it's she's recognizable, so that gives her some more extra points.
Yes, well, Albert is on to the thing that did her in. Apparently, based on her mannerisms and based on the way she carried herself, her stature is what they said, employees of the McDonald's recognized her. About a half hour later, police caught up with her in her burgundy Dodge Charger. She had changed clothes, as all good crooks do.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
But this was the other part of the idea she didn't think through. The clothing and mask worn during the robbery, the cash bag, cash and gun were still found inside her car.
What?
Yeah,
Not the best and brightest, my friend.
I'm just saying,
Nope.
if you're going to change, dump the old clothes. It's a pro tip. And finally, a Florida woman caught allegedly stuffing her backpack with stolen frozen shrimp at Walmart.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be great in the afternoon sun.
Well, you got to get it back to another refrigerator quickly.
No.
I don't necessarily think it's a bad caper. But Patricia Stutz, 54, you see her there looking a bit tired and beleaguered by the whole thing.
She just wanted the shrimp, okay? She just wanted the shrimp.
I'll go first on this. I'll give her a 7 on the booking photo scale.
Really?
She's not a bad-looking lady and not a bad-looking person, human being. I think she just lost her way in her love of shrimp.
I'm giving her a 4.
4. You, Albert?
I'd go with the 5. 5.2, actually. 5.2.
A 5. Thank you.
Albert, thank you.
A loss prevention officer, that's a store security person, of course, said that Stutz grabbed several bags of frozen shrimp and frozen fish and put them in her shopping cart. She then put the bags of frozen seafood into her backpack and left the store without paying.
It was seafood night at the house. What do you want?
The Walmart
I think this is just the
employee,
reality that if Red Lobster is closing with their never-ending shrimp, you got to make ends meet and get your
you're
shrimp.
going to see more of this, is what you're suggesting, yeah? She was asked for a receipt on her way out, and she did try something. She gave them a receipt from the week before. But it was almost $500 worth of stuff. Yeah, exactly. I'll give her a, clever idea. In any case, the police have moved in, and she has been, what am I trying to say? Charged is the word I'm looking for this heist. That is our list. You'll have to pick a favorite. I'll remind you, Florida man who's 73 taking his naked stroll The dude who tried to, sexually harass a cashier. Albert, you can take the picture of this poor woman who was the shrimp robber off while I'm.
Heather says Walmart seafood. That's living on the edge.
Yeah, that's right. I have a problem, said the guy who tried to run over two people in the parking lot after sexually harassing the cashier. The Florida man who smashed through the airport fencing, drove across runways and active taxiways. Kim would have shot him, she said, in a weirdly violent part of Kim that is just now beginning to leak out of her personality.
Kim, how are you?
We found that out. Florida man who witnessed a bear fight with two alligators as a bear tried to cross the river. A Florida woman who robbed the McDonald's at gunpoint. She was recognized by employees because she had been a former employee herself, recognized based on her mannerisms. And the Florida woman who allegedly stuffed her backpack with stolen frozen shrimp and other seafood at Walmart. We have to pick a favorite. We don't want to, but we must. I ask you, Kim.
I have to pick the bear and the gators. That's it.
Bear and the gators. Albert, how about you?
Yeah, and the chat also agrees. I think the bear and the gators is the clear choice. We've never seen two gators and a bear in one story before.
We've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, it is.
There's never been anything like this.
It's true. It was a standout offering. And Albert, did you pick a favorite or not? You did pick. You like the bear?
the bear and as well as the chat. Almost 70% of the vote.
It's not uniquely Florida, but there is something charming about the woman stuffing all that shrimp into her backpack, and I'm going with that. So please leave your favorites in comments even after the live show has ended. We will read them. That said, that is Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Smash the like button like a boss.
With
Now
your
I will
iron rod.
get to him now. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for your patience. He has forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. He comes in on Fridays and we talk about some of what is happening and has happened in the week prior. He's the great Michael Shure, everyone. Hi, Michael.
Hi. I think I forgot more about it during...
Why is he muted? Oh, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
You feel that you had to wait a little too long there, Michael? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I forgot more about politics throughout the
in the wait
version.
You think? Yeah, right.
The panhandle version of Florida, Fabulous Florida.
Well, Michael, it's a part of America. It's a slice of that part.
I was supposed to be there today, actually, so that's why I'm able to join us. I was supposed to be at at Donald Trump's birthday party and Flag Day celebration in Palm Beach. But
it is a very big day, it being Donald Trump's birthday and Flag Day, which is the favorite holiday of the Alitos. And I wonder if you might give us some reflections on what's happening. The Supreme Court with 2 points. First of all, Clarence Thomas this week remembering that, I did take those private trips with funded by Harlan Crow, the billionaire donor, and I meant to tell you initially, by the way, the statement was, no, he didn't take those trips. That's an erroneous story. Now it's like, it's an accurate story. But the other big news out of the Supreme Court is on bump stocks, of course. Maybe you can start where you want, but that's the latest out of the court.
Well, I mean, I think the bump stocks thing is interesting because it's the court being the court in a way. It was divided along ideological lines, but it's saying this is not a Second Amendment issue. This is an issue over whether or not you can just by fiat say these things and change the rules as it goes without any kind of congressional action. Again, and I say this all the time, I'm not an economist and I'm not a lawyer, but it does strike me that this is more about precedent and more about what the court is allowed, what the president and executive action is allowed to do on a case like this, because it is something that would fall under the umbrella of what Congress and the legislative bodies allowed to do. Of course, it does seem to, because it went along ideological lines, in these cases, you would expect if I was right, that it would be unanimous. It would be the three liberal justices saying, yeah, we hate these bump stocks, but you can't just go and do this. But it wasn't. And whenever it falls down that 6-3 divide that we know so well in the court now, it makes you think that, there's something else afoot here. And I don't think it doesn't feel Second Amendment-y, but because of the divide, I look at it a little differently.
That's really an interesting take, because I, of course, just went, oh, it's Second Amendment-y, but you've actually said, no, I think it's actually the law taking precedent, although your opinions informed slightly by the divide that you've noted. Interesting.
Exactly. And then as the Thomas stuff, I mean, this really piles up on the desk of John Roberts, the Chief Justice at this point. There has to be some kind of code of ethics that if it doesn't exist, that has existed implicitly for all these years of the Supreme Court. It needs now to be written because of what certainly Justice Thomas has done, to a lesser degree what Alito has done or his Mrs. Alito has done, but there has to be always an image of impartiality. We're all humans, we all have opinions, and his are written down, so we know what his opinions are throughout. But I do think that there has to be some kind of code, because there is nothing to police this kind of behavior. And if you have justices who refuse to recuse themselves from cases that intersect these issues, then I think it's a problem.
Well, I mean, intersect these issues. You've got justices who essentially have in their own homes people and strategies.
Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, or you get, who's the guy, Mark Burnett? You get him to come and do the Real Housewives of the Supreme Court, and then you're having a conversation.
She, Mrs. Alito, is a wild card. I mean, she, she makes him look like Merrick Garland. I mean, it's she makes him look tame. She really, anyway, that's the court, and that's the court as we've now seen increasingly the obviousness of how compromised it is, not so much just in their opinions, but in this reporting, this independent reporting. So the comments of Alito's wife, the comments of Alito that have now been revealed, Michael, they do expose the court in new ways, but they don't really matter, I guess.
They don't. They just expose. I mean, like, are you talking about that the secret
the tape? Yeah,
stuff?
the recording.
Yeah, I mean, look, I found the Mrs. Alito stuff the most compelling of that. I think also the sort of the straight ahead. I found Justice Roberts to be impressive in the way he handled those questions and didn't take the bait. What Alito said, I don't know if there's anything wrong with what he said, in terms of he is somebody who looks at the divide and said somebody's going to win, right? I mean, yeah, somebody's going to win. It's not his job to determine that or to compromise. But so I wasn't miffed by a lot of what he said. I think that that what his wife said was more telling about what the Alitos think as a unit, and he as a justice was more careful than she was. It was enlightening because to me because you never hear them speak than it was. Then I thought it was as gotcha as a lot of people say. But
it's funny you say this, because I had the same thought about him, that he kind of played it, I thought, in the moment in the most politic way that you could. I mean, given his clear disposition and the crowd he was speaking with, and this person was coming from the crowd.
That's important, Mark, what you say, because everybody should hear what you just said, which is that given his clear disposition, so we know what's happening behind those eyes, right? And so we're looking for more than what I thought. But anyway, continues.
Yeah, no, and I was just saying that she had this kind of aggro junkyard dog quality to the, I wish I could, I'm going to sell my own flag. She broke out the blowtorch at the first conversational chance she had.
Yeah, exactly. And that was interesting to me. And you could see a lot of the way he is as a jurist in the words that she said as the wife of a jurist, which I thought was interesting.
Now to the GOP.
Yeah.
And the meeting with Donald Trump. He went to Capitol Hill, all the ironies, the eeriness, the bizarre nature of the meeting from the standpoint of just the location, this place that has now become infamous as Donald Trump's efforts on January 6th to foment and otherwise create momentum sufficient enough to perhaps stay in office, sit in our history. I wonder if you can speak to the meeting as we've learned. It was this kind of freewheeling meeting, really had little to do with policy from everything I've read, and more to do with fealty, loyalty. And
I mean, that's what this was about. This was about, all right, I'm the nominee, and it's time for you to embrace me. And it's the first time I've been here since January 6th. I didn't show up for the inauguration of President Biden, and now it's a rare appearance for me here. But you have to make an appearance with me so that we can show an appearance of unity. Even though there are some people there who have been critical of the former president, you have the Republicans standing in line, especially the senators, and many of whom want to be, or at least a handful of whom want to be his running mate when it comes time to select that in the next little while. But the senators that were there were obvious. It was Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, all the people that love him. But then there's Tim Scott, then there's J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, all these people who want to be part of it. I should say, I don't know if I saw Rubio there, but I believe he was there. And so that's what you're showing unity around this guy, many of whom they have criticized. And the last time, that he had anything to do with the Capitol, it could be argued that he endangered their lives, and it's been argued that he endangered their lives.
The sweepstakes associated with his vice presidential pick, I'm hearing more Rubio. And it's funny, I know we ask you this question occasionally, and along the way, as I recall, one of the things you say is it's not super important. People don't vote for vice president, but yet it is, maybe it's important in the news cycle. Maybe you can recharacterize it for us, first of all. And then secondly, speak to Marco Rubio, who's now being talked about, I think, in much more serious ways than he might have been a few months ago.
Well, I think we also have to talk about the technicality when we talk about Rubio, which is that Rubio, you're not allowed to be in the same from the same state as your running mate, and the two of them are Floridians now. Before the conviction of Donald Trump, it was said that he can just change his state, his citizenship to New York from Florida, which is doable, but it becomes a little bit more complicated now that he is a felon in New York and the rules and that he might have to abide by there. So Rubio, to me, is not going to be in the top tier because of that technicality. But again, there may be ways to get around that. Rubio himself could move to Virginia as well. So it doesn't have to be that Rubio is from Florida. He could resign his Senate seat to run for vice presidency. I think what Rubio does is, and what a lot of people are looking for, is youth and future. Rubio ran for president. He ran a lackluster campaign for president, but you want to have a legacy at certain times. You either want a vice president who says, I have no political ambition, or you want one who's young enough to have that ambition. So Dick Cheney, for example, no ambition beyond the vice presidency was when he was with George W. Bush. We thought that about Joe Biden, as a matter of fact, that Joe Biden would have been a vice president and nothing more. So that did change. With Rubio, that there's ambition because it's been displayed before. His politics are conservative, but are looked at by what we now call moderate Republicans, as in line with the way they think. He's not completely MAGA or associated with MAGA, even though he has kowtowed to Donald Trump for so long now. So so that perception of divide is important because the Republican Party knows that they can't just be MAGA without Donald Trump after 2028 and maybe after 2024.
So, as you say, there's a workaround on Rubio. In the end, it was noted in one of the comments there that because of the age of both candidates, the vice presidential pick, and you've made this point several times as well, the vice presidential pick is important. In the end, do you see an advantage for Trump with one of these picks?
I personally think, and I agree, I agree that it's going to matter more now than it ever has. I'm a curmudgeon about how important it is, but I will concede that it's more important now with these, practically octogenarians, and, the president is 80. I think that the politics as they are, I don't think geography ever matters. I think youth does matter, but I also think that Trump would do well to look at a woman for this role, to neutralize anything that Kamala Harris can bring as a woman, but also because Roe v. Wade is on the ballot, and pushing women up, uplifting women in any way that Donald Trump can, because it's such a mark against him across the board in so many ways, both from his civil trial ruling and from what he did as a felon now. I think that would matter. So if I were advising him, I would say the perception of having a woman there, I would be, someone. We talked about Kristi Noem for a long time. Well, I think she disqualified herself with her dog shooting episode. But there are other women out there in the Republican Party who I think would serve the ticket better than some of these men. I don't think Donald Trump listens to conventional wisdom, and it's gotten him pretty far. So we'll see.
As mentioned in the chat, Nikki Haley, certainly she's the highest profile, perhaps.
Yeah, and he would have to do a real dance to get Nikki Haley involved. I don't see.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning that they ran against each other, and Nikki Haley, like Marco Rubio, has a future, and she would have to really consider whether a closer association with Donald Trump would help or hurt her in 2028. And I mean, say,
Mike Pence ran against him in the primaried him here.
Mike Pence was a former vice president, and there's a narrative about Mike Pence within the Republican Party now that has him as a traitor as well. So it's a different kind of complication. Mike Pence also is not a 2028 hopeful. And if he thinks he is, then he's wrong. Nikki Haley has real viability in 2028. And so the calculation she needs to make is, am I helped or hurt by being on this ticket? And these people will find a way to get on that ticket if they think it'll help them. I don't think being associated with Donald Trump in 2028, even as a sitting vice president, is a big boost in Republican circles at that point, because a lot of people are going to run away from MAGA a little bit. And she would be the clear candidate and the clear choice of people to do that. So
you think there will be an election in 2028?
Yeah, I hope so. Well, what are we going to talk about if not? I can't talk about,
There'll be an election the way the Russians have an election. The policy ideas that are being launched by Trump, he's kind of spinning. He talks about the tariffs on, he'd make 100%, put 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. He really smack talks a lot when it comes to economics and the sort of isolationist policies, all of which it would seem, based on what I've seen, and I'm sure he hasn't thought it through at all, but would be wildly inflationary. And he also smack talks NATO. And these are the things that we had heard him say before, but he seems poised, and based on the 2025 strategies as laid out, he seems poised to follow through on some of this. I mean, obviously, the 2025 thing is really associated with dismantling a lot of government. But it sounds as though he would almost erase the State Department, for example. These policy positions, Michael, are we going to hear more about them in the months ahead because now the trial is over? Or do they not matter? Put that in some context for me.
I would suspect he'll try and work some of them into a debate with Biden that's going to happen later this month. So I think that to that end, yes. But Look, Donald Trump figured out a way to win the presidency in 2016, and I always defer to people who are able to do that. He knows a bit more than I do, or his people do, about certain things. But my guess is that this is not the best way. He is not running to get those people who love him to vote for him like he did in 2016, to get the people who hadn't voted in 2012. He's trying to get moderate Republicans and independent voters and independent women to vote for him. Increasing inflation is not a way to speak to those people, because a lot of those voters are far more thoughtful than the voters who are already in line with him, more thoughtful about issues like that. So he can be a mile wide and an inch deep with a lot of the people whose support is cemented behind him in MAGA world. But when you're trying to win new voters and you're doing it with flawed policy, or policy that you can't explain, or policy that is anathema to the way people are thinking now. I mean, if his economic policy would cause further inflation at a time when people are struggling to buy a loaf of bread in many ways, in many places, when a tank of gas costs X amount of dollars, you don't want to put inflation out front. He could say that to his supporters, his loyal supporters. They won't blink an eye. They're not there for the policy. But the people who are remain undecided or who are able to be wooed are people that are looking at policy.
Yeah, and this is such an important point you're making, because these policies will have to be articulated in a way somehow to bring some of those people over. The people who you've met with along the way as you've covered these various rallies, they don't care. They're there for the show. They're there because something about that guy, a charisma, gut feeling, something hits them right. Yeah. So it's so interesting that it will come down to policy on some level during this debate. You know, it's interesting as he, last minute or so, Michael, as he freewheels the way he did the other day with the shark and the boat going down and the electrocution, and he just kind of goes. It reminds me of all of those who came out of the Trump administration, some of whom, are scary people, like John Bolton, for example, very hawkish guy and scary in many ways. But they say almost to a person that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no interest in public policy. He has no interest in almost anything except himself. He doesn't read briefing materials. He is completely ignorant. He is a danger, is what a lot of them say. Oddly, or perhaps you can explain to me, perhaps it's not so odd, but that message has just been lost in the noise. I don't hear a lot about it.
Again, but right. I think it goes off of what we were just talking about, Mark, which is that the people that create his base couldn't care less. They're the same people that don't read past the headline and I don't mean to generalize them, but I think that we have spoken to enough of them to know that A, they're not ashamed of this, and B, that it's true in large part. And so the people that the John Boltons are talking to, or the people that will hang on to what John Bolton is saying, are the people that are really loath to vote for Donald Trump again. And those are the people that Trump has to win over in some ways, which is why policy, like we just said, is somewhat important, because of the land that has not yet been claimed.
So do you think, Michael, that those messages, not to interrupt, but just that those messages or those summaries of what was said, of how it was said, or these people, these personalities, will bubble back up to the surface in the next few months?
I think it probably has already landed with people who wouldn't go back to Trump. I don't think it's a huge number of people that'll be affected by it. But in terms of becoming something that we talk about during the election and during the campaign in the fall, I think it will somehow find its way to the fore again. The people that talking about being disinterested in policy and not being up to the task. I mean, you can fool people for a long time. You can make people think that you're a great golfer by talking about all the golf you're playing, but you never play with them, right? But when you have to play with them, you have to show up and be able to golf. And I think that the audience is thinning for Trump.
Such good stuff today. Thank you, my friend. Did we leave anything? Michael, did I leave anything on the table? I know we can't get to everything, but was there something else I should have touched on? I feel...
I think maybe Edmonton being down 3-0, 3 games in. And
Commish, what is the story on this Stanley Cup playoff? Do you have any thoughts with Michael Shure? I mean, my God, it's... how does that
Albert, thank you.
How does that happen?
Well, one team's clearly been in the NBA final or NHL finals, so I think
and
showing.
Albert, I think you'd agree that Florida is just a superior team right now to everybody else, and they're getting great goaltending, and they've figured out how to neutralize the best player in the world and his winger. So it's tough going.
Well, if it's any consolation, the NBA playoffs are equally as disappointing. It's a 3-0 run, and
were they at 3-0 as well?
And I don't even think the games are interesting. I really don't. I find the NBA to be a disappointment.
Yeah, well, I found it that way, but only for decades. So,
well, it's.
Can you let him finish?
Yeah,
sir?
let me finish. It's just like hockey. Is what I was going to say. He's forgotten more about politics than most people will ever know. He's so generous to be here on Fridays. Next Friday, you're off, though, right?
No, I'm here next Friday. It's in 2 weeks.
Here next Friday. Okay. Michael Shure, everybody. Thanks, Michael. Bye-bye.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I don't care what you say, Albert. I want to get a little news in. Then, oh, God, I'm right up against I got to tell you, I've got a doctor's thing right after this. I'm falling apart, guys. I'm falling apart.
No.
Oh.
It's okay to skip it. Go right to
Is
Snyder.
it? I'm so sorry.
That's good.
I've got this doctor thing. I've got doctors and trying to get into doctors and thank you, Kim, for that, because I'll need to leave right after the show is done. So without any further delay, Albert, if it's okay with you, we'll do a little sweeper. You can put up the email address or something, or a way that people can support the show through Patreon or PayPal. Do something that you feel reaches out to the audience. I'd like to do that. And then that will be followed by the great Michael Snyder. Smash the like button. Do it for Michael Shure. Do it for Kim. Do it for Albert. Don't worry about me. Going to the doctor's office, I may not have that long anyway. Do it for them. Do it for the future. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Feels good.
When they raided Mar-a-Lago, God didn't like that.
What up, baby? What up? What up? What up? What up?
Oh, girl, baby girl. Don't even play.
My girl, baby girl, don't even play. When it comes to music and movies and television, we've got one go-to guy. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder is his name. They call him the Culture Blaster. He is in San Francisco today. He is back and forth between Los Angeles and San Francisco, keeping the coast safe. What do you have for us today, oh great Culture Blaster?
Well, Mark, it is Donald Trump's birthday, and it's a landmark one. I mean, he's felon years old. I mean, we're thrilled about all of that. Actually, he's 78, but going by his behavior, that would be in dog years. But in any event, there's so much going on in both San Francisco and LA this week, and I feel torn. I am, of course, reporting from an undisclosed location in Northern California.
Sure.
Okay, I'll admit it. I'm on Russian Hill, and I would prefer to be on Ukrainian Hill, but you go with what you got.
Sure.
So much. Let me give you a community notes quickly before we get to the film reviews. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so the North Beach Festival is happening this Saturday and Sunday with Columbus and Green serving as its hub. In North Beach, there's going to be craft vendors, food stalls, and trucks. beer and wine gardens and live performances via stages at Broadway in Columbus, on Grant, and on Stockton, around Filbert. I am definitely going to try to make it to a set by our pal and Music City SF entrepreneur Rudy Colombini and his band, the Unauthorized Rolling Stones, on Sunday. I'll be wearing my beret. It's around 5:50, 5:30 in the afternoon, and it's on the Broadway stage. I'm prepared for crowds. I know there's going to be some totally cool people there, and probably a lot of people that you might only be able to tolerate after a stop at the beer garden, but I'm excited about it. Also, appropriately launching in the middle of Pride Month and running from June 19th to 29th, the 48th San Francisco International LGBTQ plus Film Festival is going to be happening as usual. Frameline, the film organization, arts organization, is as ever hosting it. They kind of call it like Frameline 48 for shorthand, and it's honoring the many shades of LGBTQ cinema. And sadly, despite the loss of its longtime venue, the Castro Theater, not sadly, we're sad about the fact that it's being renovated and being retooled for concert shows. But the festival will be going down at the Roxy Theater, the Palace of Fine Arts, the Herbst Theater, the Vogue, the New Parkway in Oakland, and there's going to be parties and events at places like the Stud and Oasis. And honoring its Castro roots, Frameline 48 is going to kick off with a free outdoor event, the Juneteenth Film and Block Party on Castro Street. And for more info, people can click on to frameline.org. Finally, I do want to mention that in Los Angeles, because again, like I said, I'm torn. It's the 21st annual Tar Fest this Saturday, a day in the park. It's from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. for free at Pan Pacific Park, 7600 Beverly. And it's going to feature live music, live painting from some of my favorite artists, including the fantastic pop surrealist Johnny KMNDZ Rodriguez, DJs, artisan booths, food trucks, kids activities, so much going on this weekend. It's crazy. Why am I going to even review films? Because I just have to, Mark. I have to.
Wow, I didn't realize how much is going on. This is a big weekend then, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco.
Absolutely. And the twain meets, by the way, at Oracle Park this weekend when the Los Angeles Angels play the Giants, and hopefully the Giants will send the Angels to hell.
I get it. Angels hell. I think the Giants have a shot at that. Don't you agree?
I think they're going to take 2 of 3 minimum. I'm hoping for a sweep. My boys have got to get up from 500 and start making a run for the wild card.
It's been a tough ride lately. Yeah.
Movie time, right? Let's go.
Yes, sir. Do it, please.
Okay. So we're going to kick things off with Inside Out 2. So after producing a string of really clever, innovative, emotionally satisfying, and unimpeachably wonderful computer animated movies that were highlighted by Toy Story and The Incredibles and distributed by the Disney Company, Emeryville, California's Pixar studio was fully acquired by the Mouse House, and then weirdly enough, Disney itself began doing some pretty impressive CGI fashion films such as Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph that were, how shall I put this, downright Pixarian. And meanwhile, despite excellent efforts, including 3 Toy Story sequels, Ratatouille, Monsters, Inc., Coco, and Soul, boy, I loved Soul, Pixar delivered some clunkers, most notably The Good Dinosaur, although Onward wasn't particularly memorable. Wasn't crazy about last year's Elemental. The less said about the Cars movies, the better. But throughout this entire decades-long run by Pixar, going all the way back to that first Toy Story movie in 1995, one of the most creative, heartfelt, and thoroughly human movies was 2015's Inside Out by Pixar mainstay Pete Docter. He was the director of Note. And in it, we got inside the mind of a tween, 11-year-old Riley, who, loved playing hockey, lived in the Midwest, but found her entire life thrown asunder when her parents decided to move to San Francisco. And getting into her brain, we meet her emotions, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. And we see how her mind works. It's very powerful, emotionally moving, funny as hell, cleverly designed. And Inside Out 2 is a absolutely terrific sequel. Now, if you haven't seen the first one, this isn't going to have the impact that it should. So you really need to have seen Inside Out before you see Inside Out 2, because we're back in Riley's mind, and she's up against that greatest devil of all while growing up, puberty.
Oh,
And,
no.
Yeah, so 4 more, this is so great, 4 more emotions show up in her brain bank, these avatars that kind of create the way she thinks and feels. And there's a war going on in her brain between all of the emotions. Boy, if there was ever a way to describe puberty, that would be it. So you still get the terrific performances by Amy Poehler as Joy, who's kind of the lead emotion. But you also get, obviously, the other ones, including anger, voiced by Lewis Black. Phyllis Smith from The Office is the voice of sadness. And they actually brought in a couple of new voices to pick up from the previous actors. Tony Hale is fear. And I think Lisa Lapira, Lisa Lapira is disgust. But the new emotions are fantastic. Maya Hawke is anxiety. And if you remember your early teen years, anxiety really kind of ruled the roost for most of us, I think. And there becomes a power struggle in Riley's brain. And it all plays out as she's trying to win a spot on the junior high or the next level of school, the hockey team. She loves playing hockey. You get San Francisco exteriors. You get a lovely voice work from the new actors who are in the mix. Envy is one of the new emotions, voiced by Ayo Edebiri. You get, this is great. Adele Exarchopoulos, the French actress, is ennui. Oh my God. She doesn't have a lot to do, but, the languor of the French actress, absolutely fantastic. Dad and Mom are voiced by Kyle MacLachlan and Diane Lane. Paul Walter Hauser is embarrassment. It is lovely as the original emotions get deeper and deeper into Riley's mind to see what they can do about putting her on the right track as, these new emotions start throwing her world asunder. Loved it. It was directed by someone other than Pete Docter, and they did a good job. And, I have to add that, let me get the name of the director. Kelsey Mann, who was a Pixar mainstay. The truth is, it's not quite Inside Out, but man, it's a terrific sequel. That's all I can say about that. It's in
very,
theaters.
very good. I'll ding Languor and I'll ding Asunder, which you used twice. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there you go. What can you do? Let's flip the script here a little bit. You can count on British history to provide what seems to be countless tales of armies at war and royals at play with political intrigue and treachery at court, put right in the middle of things. It's all par for the course. And that has meant plenty of fodder for the elegantly costumed period dramas that lend themselves to the silver screen or the pewter screen, depending on how aristocratic or peasant class,
Yeah.
This brings me to Firebrand, a new and meticulously appointed but revisionist look at the marriage of the vile Tudor period ruler of England, Henry VIII. Remember? Henry VIII I am. And his marriage to his 6th wife. And as you may recollect, he had 6 wives. End of story. Spoiler alert, that was all. So in any event, Catherine Parr was his 6th wife, and it looked like she was going to stick. He had her act as regent when he went off to war, and she tried her damnedest to support the then radical Protestant movement that was attempting to reform the church and make it more English than the Latin prayer and scripture dictated by the Vatican. This was anathema to a lot of the movers and shakers in the court, like, the religious heads of state that advised Henry VIII. So a little war starts happening in the context of the court. And they're trying to find proof that Catherine was consorting with these, I guess, radicals is the best way to put it, and then bring her down and regain more power when Henry comes back from war. Henry is played by Jude Law, portly, vulgar, Wonderful, over-the-top performance, appropriately so, by Jude Law. And in a more measured performance, Alicia Vikander plays Catherine. And again, this is a revisionist look, almost a feminist look at her place in history and what she tried to do. And clearly there are fictional elements and extrapolations going on here. But, you know, the performances are good. Kareem Ainuz directed. And, oh, surprise, written by 3 women, Jessica Ashworth, Henrietta Ashworth, and Elizabeth Fremantle. And I thought they did a good job. But how much you like it maybe depends on your love of period drama, and also whether you can take this kind of modern slant on what we know as historical fact. So
I see. So do you feel that the history was twisted a lot? Is that kind of what you're suggesting?
Not a lot, but to an extent. I mean, there are presumptions here. They're reading into things that Catherine may or may not have done, and how deeply enmeshed she was with the Protestant movement. But you know, I still, the performances were so good that I didn't blanch at any of that. It's in theaters. It's called Firebrand. It's not a great movie, but it's pretty intriguing, and I didn't feel like it was a time waster, unlike some things on this program.
Thank you. Enmeshed, I will ding. I also will ding something else he just said. What was it?
I'm sure it was normally...
Somebody in the chat will get it. Yeah, but it was... anyway, all right.
Let's move on to another double act in a way. The great British comic actor Stephen Fry, who I will always enjoy watching no matter what. He was teamed up with Hugh Laurie as the comedy team of Fry and Laurie. They did the Jeeves and Wooster TV show, which was wildly entertaining. And he teams with the divisive but talented American actress and writer Lena Dunham, who was the creator and the star of Girls, the TV show on HBO. And she also directed the really good medieval coming-of-age comedy Catherine Called Birdie. But they make for a very odd and occasionally fascinating couple in the uneven dramedy Treasure. Treasure essentially recounts a strange and dark trip to Poland by a contentious father and daughter pair in the 1990s as a self-deprecating American journalist, Ruth, arranges what amounts to a Holocaust tour with her Polish immigrant father, Edek, who is a concentration camp survivor, and he has little desire to revisit the horrors of his youth by returning to the place where it all happened. So we are with Ruth, played by Dunham, and Edek, played by Fry, for the majority of the film. And watching them is pretty wonderful. I mean, they're just, you know, very talented, but the whole thing is kind of a downer in a way. The comedy just sort of lays there. And again, Fry is a brilliant comedian, but he's basically doing a dramatic turn here. And the self-deprecation on the part of Dunham's character gets to be a little wearying. They are always worth watching, and it's an interesting conceit. And if we have to bring up the whole never forget idea regarding the Holocaust and what happened, that's reason enough to at least acknowledge Treasure. I think, again, not a great film, but it had some merit. It was directed by Julia von Heinz, and she co-wrote the screenplay with John Quester. And, you know, always happy to see a woman taking the reins when it comes to filmmaking. And again, this has
I don't quite understand. I don't mean to interrupt. I don't quite understand when you say it's a Holocaust. So you're saying she's taking her Polish-born or his heritage is Polish father on a tour of various Holocaust memorials,
where he lived while growing up, where his family was basically taken to the concentration camp, to the camps itself. Yeah, it's a Holocaust tour. I just wanted to give you a little shorthand on that. But
no, I get it. I was just wanting to make sure I had the okay.
Oh
go ahead.
My God, that aspect of it is so heartbreaking.
Powerful, huh? Yeah,
and powerful. But ultimately, it's kind of an uneasy mix. You know, it's almost an oil and water situation to have these performers in the middle of this. I know they were trying to do something, you know, memorable. And it's not a great film, and it's kind of again, because of the shifting tones, it doesn't quite congeal. But again, I can't denigrate Fry or Dunham as
All
performers.
right, congeal and denigrate. I mean, I think it's just getting okay. Very good. Yeah,
You
good.
people. Let's get a little lighter, okay? Ultraman Rising is an attempt to basically restart the Japanese sci-fi kaiju superhero franchise, where a giant robotic avatar of a human given powers from aliens is here on Earth to fight kaiju, the giant monsters that we know from Japanese science fiction films.
Well, somebody's got to fight him.
Well, of course, but one of the issues with this, and it's kind of well animated, and it has its charming moments. It basically tells the story of a young boy who actually grows up to become a successful professional baseball player in America on the Dodgers, a player from Japan. Sound familiar at all? I don't know if there's any gambling involved, but anyway, what it's basically about is that Ken Sato, he returns home from his career as a Dodger, returning to Tokyo to take on the mantle of Ultraman, because apparently his dad has been Ultraman. We never understand through this movie alone. You have to have known the earlier versions of this to understand specifically the source of his powers, his backstory. How is this mantle handed on from father to son? None of that is covered. That said, there are some charming moments here. There are terrific battles between Ultraman and the giant monsters. There's a kaiju defense force that actually considers Ultraman an interloper. There are moments, and of course, since I think it's more kid-oriented than for grown-ups or even longtime Ultraman fans, there is a cute little kaiju baby that Ultraman basically bonds with and has to kind of parent. I wish story-wise it had been better, but visually it's fun, and I think the tots might get a kick out of it. I just, if I didn't know anything about Ultraman at all, I would have been really lost. And I fear that might be the case for some viewers. They never explain his origins, the source of his powers, or how that power is handed down. So
you would have liked to have seen some backstory, a little bit of you like fill in a little detail as to how Ultraman got so ultra.
I always say, oh, please cut back on the exposition. Here I was like, please give me some exposition. Anyway, it's on Netflix, so it's not going to be that big a deal time-wise or cash-wise if you have a Netflix account. The kids will probably like it. Shannon Tyndall directed. The music is wonderful, by the way, and the visuals, largely done by Industrial Light and Magic from Marin County, are good. But I kind of, compared to Inside Out 2, I mean, they're not even in the same universe, pardon the expression.
You are right. I mean, well, I'm just looking at the cheat sheet I have that usually indicates what things you are going to speak of. I normally never look at it, but today I'm looking at it just to make sure we finish up on time. And I see to it that we've kind of reached the end of the little run here.
We have one more movie, my friend.
Okay, great. Let's bring it on.
All right. Aussie actress Alice Englert has done some really impressive supporting work on prestige TV shows, including The Serpent, which I loved, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I loved, and Top of the Lake, which I totally enjoyed as well, with Elizabeth Moss playing someone from the Antipodeans. And also, Englert played opposite Noomi Rapace in a very dark and freaky supernatural drama called You Won't Be Alone. And now she has written and directed Bad Behavior. And in Bad Behavior, she also plays Dylan, the alienated daughter of Lucy, a single mother and former actress played by Jennifer Connelly. And their fraught relationship is at the heart of Bad Behavior, which begins with them apart. Lucy is at a spiritual retreat overseen by a guru type named, get ready, Elon. That's right. Wow. Anyway, he's played in perfectly smug and smarmy fashion by the always terrific Ben Whishaw, who starred in The Hour. He was Q in the Daniel Craig 007 movies. Anyway, Dylan is working on as a stunt woman in New Zealand, but dire circumstances bring mother and daughter back together for a wrenching reunion. Even if the story is somewhat all over the place, the acting is superb. Connelly has come quite a way since playing the Betty Page style love interest in The Rocketeer. Her work in the sci-fi shows Snowpiercer and the current miniseries Dark Matter has been mature and sharp, but her performance in Bad Behavior is next level. This is not to undersell Englert's turn as Dylan. She goes toe-to-toe with Connolly. If and when Englert's screenwriting and directing reach the heights of her acting, watch out. Still, Bad Behavior shows great promise for her as a filmmaker and is definitely worth watching to see her and Connolly going at it. It's in theaters and available for streaming. And again, not a great film. It's one of those things like Treasure where you are fascinated by the performances and even to an extent, Firebrand. Of all these movies, the only one I can unequivocally cheer is Inside Out 2, but there is merit in everything that I've reviewed today.
Wow. Check it out. Michael just did really cover the gamut. Finished up with that Bad Behavior, the New Zealand offering with Jennifer Connelly and Alice Englert.
Yeah. Alice Englert is clearly a talent. And by the way, the spiritual retreat is in Oregon. So Dylan has to travel across the Pacific from New Zealand when things go bad at the movie shoot she's working on. It's
not bad. It's not bad though. You kind of like it.
There are
there are
I
moments,
would say,
I guess.
I thought it was a better film than Treasure, but again, I never miss a chance to watch Stephen Fry. I just don't. I just think he's so
it's
good.
It's in theaters now, or is it streamable as well?
It's streamable as well.
Bad Behavior we're talking about. And Treasure is Stephen Fry. And I haven't gotten to Treasure yet, Michael, please. I've got an order that I go through.
Why are you yelling?
And right away, you're like screwing up my order.
Why are you yelling?
Bad Behavior is the Jennifer Connelly. We just mentioned it, and he says it's okay. It's in theaters. It's
and available for streaming.
And available for streaming. Thank you. Ultraman, going in reverse order. Ultraman is Ultraman Rising. The famous baseball player Ken Sato. He goes back home because he's also Ultraman.
Oh, and dude, I forgot. He comes back and he also joins the Yomiuri Giants, which was his boyhood team. And because he's so wrapped up in his Ultraman crap, he is not very good on the field. And this big star, is faltering because of his responsibilities to the little baby kaiju.
But he can't tell anybody that that's the reason he's faltering. Is that right?
Exactly. And honestly, as a San Francisco Giants fan, our sister team is the Yomiuri Giants in Tokyo. So I was rooting for this movie on so many levels.
He said he would have liked to have seen more exposition, is what Michael said. He said he just felt that there was a little backstory missing, probably more for the kids was his general disposition toward Ultraman Rising. Treasure, Stephen Fry and Lena Dunham, they go on a Holocaust tour of sorts for her dad, who has roots, as the family does, in Poland. He said that it's a great opportunity to see two very talented actors acting, but sadly, Michael can't be over the moon recommending this. Kind of a downer, he says, and he just felt Treasure wasn't quite hitting the way he would have liked to have seen it hit. Is that a fair way to put it, sir?
I hate to use the word muddled over and over again for some of these movies, but this is a little on the muddy side.
Firebrand is the almost feminist look at Henry VIII. It's a British historical drama, and it was written by three women. The film focuses on the Queen of England and the wife and widow of Henry VIII, Catherine Parr. Stars Alicia Vikander. I love Alicia Vikander.
Oh,
so
my
do
God.
you.
Ex Machina. I can't even.
The very best. The very best. I could only see, if I had one choice, to only see one actor in movies, Alicia Vikander would be the...
What?
No.
Hey, you know what? I've reappraised the movie version by Guy Ritchie of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., where she plays a spy, because she is so good.
Jude Law ain't bad either. He's in it. And Michael says, it's interesting. I got that you didn't love it, sir.
I didn't love it. It gets a little dolorous at points, but honestly,
dolorous for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Jude Law is so good in it, and Alicia Vikander is so good in it, and obviously I like the message of empowerment. But
sure.
It was not great.
And finally, he started with Inside Out 2, the inventive way to tackle this character. We see inside her head as the emotions that we're familiar with are joined by other emotions and other urges and feelings and pressures and anxieties as she goes through puberty. In Riley's mind, all of these things are crashing together. Great voice work. Michael liked it. I got again that you didn't love it, but you liked it.
I loved it, but when you compare it to the first film, it's not as good and as startlingly original. And on the other hand, if you don't watch the first film before you watch this, you're making a big mistake. It's sort of like, remember when you and Courtney wanted to go see Avengers Endgame and you'd never seen Avengers Infinity Wars? And I was like, are you joking? You're going to see this after not seeing part one? Oh, my God.
That is the summary on Inside Out 2. See Inside Out, and then you'll like this. Not as much as Inside Out, but you'll like Inside Out 2. Michael, great job. Enjoy your time in San Francisco. Come in studio when next you have an opportunity. Next Friday, I'm away, but you will be here nonetheless. Kim will be helming things. We might have a guest in the mix that Kim will be with, so please don't forget us next Friday. You can find Michael, Voice of San Francisco. Voice of San Francisco, is it .org? Yeah.
TheVoiceSF.org.
TheVoiceSF.org is where you can read Michael's musings. We have it on screen for you now. Definitely check it out. He's a brilliant writer. Great takes on any number of things from movies to life. So, Michael, we love you. He comes and goes on a rainbow.
Farewell,
enjoy the festivals this weekend, my friend.
don't
Michael
try it.
Snyder, everybody, the Culture Blaster. Yeah, right on. Wow. He always packs it in.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I wish we could stay on. I feel like we're just beginning to hit our stride.
I do have one thing to show you.
I do want to,
This is, you remember we talked about Lucille?
Oh, yeah.
I got a flash email super fast from Lee and Eileen with Lucille. There you go.
That is terrific.
Yeah. How cute are they?
The Giants mascot with Lee and Eileen.
Mm-hmm.
Looking good, looking happy. That's really terrific. And you see Lucille has the rings on her left hand, right?
That's
or his
right.
left. Lucille. It's Lou. Is Lou a boy or a girl, Albert?
A boy, right?
So it's Lou, L-O-U?
Yeah.
Yes, L-O-U.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that, Lou. I mean, you're really masculine looking. Don't get me wrong, but I just thought, look, these are wild times, and I shouldn't have committed to any kind of gender ahead of time. It was my bad.
But you did see the 3 rings there, so
My bad. I'm sorry.
I saw the 3 rings. That's what I was talking about.
2010, 2014, 2016. Just want to remind the folks at home, for
we are winners.
For the Giants fans and the non-Giants fans out there, 2010, 2012, and 2014.
It's been a struggle since then, but still a distinguished franchise with a rich history. Harry Magnan for your Martini at the Red Jack Saloon. You'll find me at the Red Jack, baby. That's right. Thank you for that. Big shout out. Our friends at the Red Jack who live above the bar. And imagine how there hasn't been a little indie movie or series about them living above the Red Jack. I will never know. I mean, it could be funny. It could be dramatic.
I think we're due for another show from the Bay Area about a bar. I think we're ready.
And think about that movie, The Bear, that was such a big hit. I think it was on Hulu. This feels like it could have that. It could have elements of, drama, would also be funny, great characters. Anyway, thank you to FergsTube. FergsTube with the super sticker.
Big shout out.
For $5. I love it. We're a crowdfunded show. Every little bit helps us. What the heck is wrong with Russia, Mark? Just because you report stuff doesn't make one a spy. The Lady Beatrice with the $5 super chat, referring, of course, to the Wall Street Journal journalist who is sadly embroiled in that
Gershkovich,
entire mess in Russia. It's absolutely awful. So you're right. Lori Dolly, come on, Lori Dolly.
Big shout out.
Big shout out, and thank you for a $20 super sticker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it very, very much indeed. And Ashley Petrus, one of the most competitive names of all of our regular contributors and supporters, Ashley Petrus, a $10 super
Big
sticker.
shout out.
Now, would that be, I want to say, is it Turkish or what is that? I feel like the name might have its roots in, am I wrong?
I don't know.
Probably stupid.
Somewhere around there, Turkey, maybe.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love your name, Ashley, and thank you for being a big. I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, darling. Really appreciate it very much. Also, some random comments quickly from Steve Smith. I really miss Pat Thurston as well. Wish she would come on the show. She is. She said she can come on. She'd love to come on. We just haven't worked out the schedule, but she will be on. And I have to be away 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, and then the following Monday. I have to go back and see my dad. So don't you dare put Pat on here while I'm away. That would be instant red card because I'm telling you,
really?
I love...
Maybe I'll have to do that then.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what?
Kim, how are you?
I love it when you test authority, Kim.
Take that red card and give it right back to you.
I specifically am telling you, I want no Pat on here. Albert, if you, and you will be the producer, and again, I hate to double red card, but if you permit it to happen, Albert, I will then have to address you.
Albert, thank you.
This is outrageous. Are you kidding me?
I love it. I don't know.
I blame you.
All right. Just all I would say is, I've told you what's important. Girl, baby, girl.
Oh, girl, baby, girl. Don't even play.
Don't even play, baby.
If you're not here, then anything goes, my friend.
Oh, is that right? Trevor, Pamela Kirby says, Trevor, Coachella Valley Coffee has a Pride blend this month. Just ordered 2 pounds with some tea also. Wow, that's super cool. We love Coachella Valley Coffee, but when you order, make sure you order with a discount, which is Mark Tea. They are the greatest. Tea, coffee, whatever you want, and anything you get on their site, even their merch, anything at all, you'll get 10% off on. So make sure you use Mark Tea at checkout. We love that they're a sponsor of the show, and we appreciate all their support. Without any further delay, we'll make room for the after party live.
We'll do it live.
Kim is full of attitude, and she will bring it all on that show.
I'm the one
on Monday,
attitude.
Bobby Slayton
I'm
joins
Shadow
us.
Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
I can't hear you, Kim. I can't. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Bye-bye.
Until Monday. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.